Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to take a moment and ask us to just close our eyes or find a point ahead of us to meditate on for a brief moment and just take a deep breath in. And slowly let it out. And one more time, one deep breath in. And slowly release it. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jen, and my pronouns are they, them. And I am your worship associate on this slightly overcast, but it's still warm, so nice Sunday morning. We welcome you into this sanctuary where we celebrate diversity and learn from one another, no matter our differences, to deepen our sacred connections and transform the world with love. Let us begin our worship with these opening words by Lynn Cox. Bring us close to the earth. Spirit of life, ground of our beginning, or ground of our being, sorry, but it can be our beginning also.
Beginning of our being.
Exactly. Root of unified mystery, growing into myriad branches of expression. Bring us together now. Bring us close to the earth, ear to the whispering grass, quietly, attentively, waiting with slow breaths. Listening for the very stones to cry out, with their rocky stories of tectonic plates meeting and parting and meeting, their mineral memories of Hadean days, molten rocks flowing and joining, their ancient legends of stars born out of the collapse of other stars. Help us to remember, help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters. With one more deep breath, may we rise, star-stuffed, walking and rolling across the surface of an impossible blue-green planet. May we join together to heal what is divided. May we find wholeness within, without, among, between, eternal source, seed of the universe. Help us to grow peace. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. We are so glad to have you here with us today as we continue to do the work of love. This month's theme is paying attention. Helen will get us started with some announcements that we would like you to pay attention to.
You may notice that Jen and I aren't the same height. Hello, everyone. My name is Helen Dingus, and I am serving the congregation as a worship leader today because our spiritual life director is celebrating her daughter's birthday with her. So, let's see, love plus connection equals transformation. What does that mean? It means that we want you to root yourselves in love and connect with others so that we can transform ourselves and this world towards harmony and beauty. First up, hospitality. It's always looking for volunteers. Have you signed up for a Sunday? Remember, radical hospitality is a way to be a part of the resistance. This Saturday is our annual yard sale on March 21st from 8 a.m. until noon. Setup day will be on Friday, March 20th, beginning at 10 a.m. So please be here if you can help and bring your things to be sold. If you are planning to attend the No Kings protest on Saturday, March 28th, we will be wearing our yellow Side with Love t-shirts And Donna Roberts, there she is, has blue butterfly wings available today after service if you would like to wear those. There is a sign-making gathering here at UUCL on Tuesday, March 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. On Thursday evening at my house, there will be an East Polk kind of gathering. We're going to start with seeing if this book, Living with Purpose and Integrity, is a suitable choice for us to work through. And if you live on the east side of Polk County and are interested in coming to a group there, my house is on the west side of Winter Haven, and it's in the directory, or you can contact me or Gail Rushford, or send an email to contact@uuclakeland.org, and the person who is checking that this week will forward it on to us. Tuesday, March 24th, so that's next week, at 6 p.m., is the Interfaith Passover Experience at Temple Emmanuel on Lake Hollingsworth. Yeah, so that's a week and 2 days. It's not this week, it's the following week. Because this week on Tuesday is the 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day. All right, so if you want to attend, you must RSVP with Heather via email at heather@uuclakeland.org by Thursday, March 19th. Please note, this is not a dinner. The only food that will be served is the Seder food, so please eat before you go. Whale Maiden and Thistle will co-facilitate the pagan group meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. The topic is the spring equinox and will include an intro to the pagan wheel of the year, information about equinox and balance of light and dark, and activities like singing and meditation. Now, Jen will come up and talk to you about our pledge drive.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Emily?
If you come to the pagan meeting, I was told to bring snacks. So if you want to come, bring some snacks, and we'll all snack together as well.
Okay,
That's all.
that's fine, thank you.
And one other quick announcement.
Yes, Melissa?
In the auction, we had a car wash, and that's
Yes.
happening next Sunday after service. So if you bought that, be sure you bring the car that you'd like to have washed after service. And if you'd like to help and wash cars, we certainly could use more volunteers.
Especially since I know Melissa intended it to be the kids, but the kids aren't only here, and I know she doesn't want to do it by herself. So, just something to keep in mind. All right, anybody else? Before I switch hats for a minute. All right, so I'm going to undon my worship associate hat for just a moment, and I'm going to don my chair of the board hat for a moment. I am speaking on the pledge drive because Adam is not here. He is also spending time with his kids for their spring break. So it is nice to be able to support them and allowing them to have some family time and whatnot. So far, our pledge drive has raised $59,800, which is great. We can clap. That's good. But as the chair of the board, I am going to stand on my soapbox for a minute. We say we have a dream budget of about $140,000, which we're not even halfway there yet. But I have a hard time calling it a dream budget. And the reason for that is I don't think it should be a dream to pay our spiritual life director the wage she deserves. I don't think it should be a dream to pay Isaiah what he deserves. I don't think it should be a dream to pay any of our staff what they deserve. So I I know we say it's a dream budget, but like, should it actually be a dream budget, or should it just be our budget? I know everybody in this room is doing what they can, so I am actually going to stand up here and ask everybody in the congregation for a favor, and I'm not asking for more of your money. We don't have a fundraising committee. Pledge Drive is part of fundraising, but we need to be getting our budget, and we need to be fundraising all year round. So my challenge to everybody in this congregation is, if you are comfortable talking to a friend, talking to a neighbor, talking to a colleague, people are looking for places to support right now with the world the way it is. If you are able to tell them what we support, what we do, talk to them about how we're helping migrant families with food and supplies. If you're willing to talk to one neighbor, one colleague, one friend, and get them to donate money to UUCL. Another option is, there are businesses in the community that do fundraisers. I run across them occasionally. I know there's Panera, there's Krispy Kreme, there is Teriyaki Madness. They do public fundraisers. If anybody is willing to go into a place that does a public fundraiser and set it up, if you need help coordinating, talk to Adam, talk to me, talk to whoever, but if you're willing to take the lead on setting up one of those fundraisers, please feel free to do so. I asked this number one because, like I said, I don't think this should be a dream budget. And number two, because I'm the chair of the board and when I have to sit at a table, we do very well and we make it work, but figuring out how to distribute a lower budget appropriately can be very challenging. So I'm just asking if you are willing to go out in the community in any way, shape, or form at this point to try to see if we can increase our money brought in by the pledge drive. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you do, we're gonna put like flowers or birds on the tree. The thousands of dollars we're doing for the pledge drive, get the leaves. But if you go above and beyond and get us some contributions, we'll do something a little extra special with the tree. So, thank you for listening to my soapbox moment. I will take off my board chair hat and I will go back to your worship associate. The flaming chalice is a symbol of this Unitarian Universalist faith. We light it each Sunday, as do UU churches around the world, to create sacred space, to connect us with one another, and to remember who we are as a people of faith. A people who persist with love, who resist the forces of violence, fear, and control, and who offer resilience through our theologies of interdependence. Our chalice lighting words today were written by Lore? No, it has an accent over the Lore Stevens. Our flaming chalice holds both light and dark. Simply by being lit, it casts a shadow. The spring equinox reminds us of that balance. We need both brightness and shade, warmth and cold. Just as some seeds can only sprout after being frozen, may our hearts honor both the frost and the thaw. Isabella, if you would be willing to light our chalice. Now let us rise in body or spirit to sing in English and Spanish, hymn 123, Spirit of Life. And now we invite all the children and young at heart up to the front for our message for all ages.
I think we have some weird stuff going on with microphones back
That
there.
was my.
It was you? Oh, okay, okay. Am I on? No? Is it, because I'm pretty close. Okay, okay. So, today, I'm gonna wait for everybody to come up here and get comfy. Yeah, totally. All right, I have this book. It's called Henry Works by D.B. Johnson. Henry is a bear. And Henry is short for Henry David Thoreau. And Henry has a lot of friends. And his friends' names are also just parts of the names of people that some of you might recognize. But we're not worried about who they are right now. We're going to talk about what they're going to do. So here's our first lovely picture. I cannot hold the book and show it to you at the same time. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. It is a misty, mizzling morning. Henry steps out the door and sniffs the air. It is a perfect day to walk to work. Henry stops beside the pond to dig comfrey root. Channing walks by. Henry, he says, you're not doing anything today. Come fishing with me. Not today, says Henry. I'm walking to work. Henry puts the comfrey root in his hat and walks down the path. From the top of a hill, Henry sees clouds far away. It has been a dry summer, but he knows it will rain today. The rain will not come until afternoon, so Henry fills his cup with water and sprinkles it on the milkweed flowers. Hosmer meets him on the path. Are you being a rain cloud today, Henry? He asks. I'm walking to work, Henry says. At the brook, Henry cuts a pole from a pine branch. With it, he pushes 3 crossing stones into place. He puts the pine needles in his hat with the comfrey root. Henry tramps a trail across Hosmer's field and finds a fox's den. Mrs. Hosmer is sitting at her front window. Henry calls to her. "Keep your chickens inside tonight. There's a fox around," he says. He leaves a branch of sweet-smelling pine on her window ledge. In town, Henry meets the postmaster. "Henry," he says, "I can't walk on my sore foot. Since you're not working, can you take this letter to Emerson?" "I'm walking to work right now," Henry says, "but I'll take it to him on my way." Henry takes the comfrey root out of his hat and gives it to the postmaster. It will make his foot better. Henry finds Emerson in his garden and gives him the letter. Emerson says, "The woodchucks are eating everything in my garden, Henry." "I can take care of the woodchucks," said Henry. "I'll bring them out to the country on my way to work." Henry plays his flute, and the woodchucks run to him. He tucks one in each pocket and walks off through the woods. In Alcott's field, where Henry sets the woodchucks free, he finds a patch of wild strawberries. He digs up some of the plants and puts them in his hat. Mrs. Alcott is hanging shirts to dry in the yard. "You'll have to bring in those shirts soon," Henry tells her. "It's going to rain in an hour." Henry walks along the road to Hawthorne's house. Inside the fence, the garden is growing wild with grapes and raspberries. Henry takes the strawberry plants out of his hat and finds a perfect place for them in Mrs. Hawthorne's garden. It starts to rain. Henry walks in the millbrook, measuring the shallow water as he goes. Soon he meets old Flint sitting on the bank. "Are you taking a bath, Henry?" asks Flint. "No," says Henry. "I'm just walking to work." Henry climbs out of the brook and into the middle of a big huckleberry bush. He crawls under it to cut away the tangles and picks berries until his pockets are full. Henry marks a path from the road to the huckleberry bush. As Henry walks down the path to his cabin, he meets Channing carrying his fishing pole. He shows Henry the fish he has caught. "Did you go to work, Henry?" he asks. "I'm just getting to work now," says Henry. "What is your work?" Channing asks. "It's writing," says Henry. "I'm writing a book." Henry turns toward his cabin. All day, he has taken care of things in the woods and in town. Now he is back where he started. Inside, he lights a fire. He hangs up his coat and hat. Then Henry sits at his desk to begin his book. Today, he writes, "I took a walk in the woods." Why'd he do that? What do you notice about Henry and his walk in the woods? You know what our theme is this month? Paying attention, right? So was Henry paying attention to things? Had he watched the news and seen the weather forecast to know it was going to rain? Peter says he felt it in his bones. Maybe he just noticed the clouds because he was paying attention. So do you pay attention to some things and it makes a difference? Yeah? Do you notice like that your sister is unhappy and maybe tell her that, that she's going to be okay? Maybe not. Oh, Presley does. Oh, yeah, we're going to pay attention to keeping the zippers zipped on the pillows, I think. All right. If you guys want to put stones in, do you have stones? Yeah, quick, get your stones and come drop them in and go out with Jerry and Melissa and learn things and have fun. Thank you.
Here we gather, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a small church with big aspirations. We can achieve those aspirations if everyone gives of their time, talents, and treasures. Our shared UU value of generosity calls us to be faithful UUs by covenanting with one another to freely and compassionately share our presence and our resources. This is the time in our worship service when we are given the opportunity to share. This week is our Share the Plate Sunday. Half of your contribution will be given to Friends of the Everglades. Friends of the Everglades was founded in 1969 by renowned journalist, author, and environmental activist Marjorie Stoneman Douglas to stop the Everglades jetport, protecting a vital stretch of wilderness from destructive development. They continue to work for the preservation of America's Everglades and its interconnected ecosystems. Their goals are to compel government agencies to comply with existing environmental laws and resist any efforts to weaken such laws, encourage politicians to recognize the long consequences of their actions, and spread awareness of the importance of the Everglades to the South Florida ecosystem. There are words here, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go off the cuff a little bit because it suddenly didn't make sense, but we also we wanted to bring up the fact, as a lot of you know, of alligator Alcatraz. Pretty sure it is not only negatively impacting immigrants, but also the ecosystem. So the newest campaign of Friends of the Everglades is Stop Alligator Alcatraz, and worded America's worst idea. Today, the same land threatened in 1969 is under threat again, this time from a proposal to build a massive detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Friends of the Everglades are leading the fight once more. Their landmark lawsuit to reverse this environmental catastrophe scored a major victory on August 21st, when Federal District Judge Kathleen Williams banned the arrival of new detainees and ordered a winding down of operations within 60 days. 2 weeks later, an appeals court in Atlanta paused that order and the site resumed operations. It is estimated that 15,000 people have been detained through early 2026. And another day in court is fast approaching, and they have set up the Everglades Defense Fund to help fuel this fight. Because as we know, days in court are not cheap. And this is where we will be splitting funds with this week. As Marjorie Stoneman Douglas stated in her book, The Everglades, River of Grass, there are no other Everglades in the world. They have always been one of the unique regions of the earth, remote, never wholly known, nothing anywhere else is like them. The ushers will now pass our plates so you can help support Florida's unique Everglades. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, ushers. Helen, would you mind lighting lighting the healing candle for us today? And I encourage everyone, after Helen lights the healing candle, to just use this as a meditative moment while I read this healing prayer. Spirit of life, source of compassion, courage, and truth, we gather in a world that is hurting. Across nations and communities, we witness violence, cruelty, and injustice. Our hearts ache for those who suffer, for the displaced, the oppressed, the grieving, for all who live under the shadow of fear. Hold them in the embrace of humanity's shared love. Remind us that we are not separate from one another, that every life is bound together in the great web of existence. When one part of the web is torn, the whole world trembles. Grant us the courage not to turn away. Give us clear eyes to see injustice, soft hearts that refuse to grow numb, and strong spirits that choose compassion over despair. May we be healers where there is pain. May we be peacemakers where there is conflict. May we be truth tellers where silence protects harm. Let our faith be more than words. Let it live in the choices we make, in the dignity we defend, and in the love we extend even when hope feels fragile. Spirit of life, steady us. When the world feels heavy, remind us that justice is born from persistent love. When darkness grows, kindle within us the light that cannot be extinguished. May we leave this moment renewed in purpose, to build a world where every person is valued, where compassion guides power, and where peace is not only imagined, but lived. In gratitude for this shared human journey and in commitment to the healing of our world, amen. Or, as our tradition often says, may it be so. And now we are going to have hymn 1067, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden.
If the band and deep as
As a congregation, we come together in many ways. Through collaboration and commitment, we support one another. Our ritual of joys and sorrows allows us to put that into tangible practice. To begin, I want to bring attention to our Joys and Sorrows book. And actually, I guess I should start this by saying, these were Abigail Dean's words last week. My child. She did not want, well, she did want to be here today, but she's a teenager. She had other plans. But I am honored to be able to read them for her today. To begin, I want to bring attention to our Joys and Sorrows book. It is an opportunity to share with us something that is occurring in your life, whether that be an ongoing source of grief or something that made you smile for a brief yet memorable moment. It is an opportunity to express emotional vulnerability in a space where it is safe to do so. Before the beginning of service, the Joys and Sorrows book is accessible to anyone who wishes to write down a personal joy or sorrow that will be shared with the congregation during service. It sits on the podium. It's right behind Ken Wechter back there, just through the main entrance to the sanctuary. Now I invite Helen to read what has been written in the Joys and Sorrows book today.
It's fine. You're coming right back. Okay. Just be a little cattywampus. All right, today is March 15th, and we have several entries today. That's great. Okay, Athena has a sorrow that she has shared. I am deeply concerned about the Save America Act that is due for a Senate vote soon, as of this writing. This piece of legislation threatens our ability to vote by mail in federal elections. Many folks who are disabled and on a fixed income do not have the means to obtain a photocopy of their proof of citizenship. We must call on our senators, Moody and Scott, to vote no, so that our friends and neighbors aren't affected by grievous government oversight. From Nancy and Tom, huge thanks to Peter and Sue for hosting a great UU salmon dinner by prize ticket at the UU auction, a great event. And from Crystal, she has a joy. She says, I visited Aunt Kathy in Orlando. Good family time. And now we will say our ritual words. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Thank you, Helen. I now invite you to come forward. Well, actually, we should change. If you have not grabbed your stones yet, I now invite you to go backward. To partake in our ritual of dropping stones into our Joys and Sorrows bowl. We did change the stones up a little bit. There are two tables. Both tables have all the stones on them. So feel free to use either table. We also have two bowls up front, so you can use whatever bowl allows traffic to move more steadily.
The stones no longer have words associated with the sign.
And we did, yes, some feedback was given last week about needing some stone to represent some other emotions, so we did add another stone for that. As a congregation, we value interdependence, and this is part of what that means. And I am going to finish reading Abby's words while you guys are putting those in. As the little stone-shaped representations of our joys and sorrows collect in the bowls beside our chalice, they unite. However you experience this practice, and whichever stone or stones you choose, it is an act of coming together, perhaps with the divine, fellow members of the congregation, or parts of yourself that you wish to connect with. In this moment, you are welcome to come together in whichever way feels right to you.
One of our newer members, Gail Lewis, is going to perform Morning Has Broken on Mountain Dulcimer. So please allow this to be a centering moment for you.
This is a mountain dulcimer. Some people are saying, what is this? While you set that up, I'll just tell a little bit about this so we don't have dead
Use
air.
the mic so they can hear you on the,
Huh?
use the mic.
Well, I'm getting a mic.
Yeah.
That's why I'm shouting right now.
It won't work.
While we're getting the mic set up, this is a mountain dulcimer. A lot of people are saying, what is this thing? It's an Appalachian instrument. It's sometimes called an Appalachian dulcimer or a lap dulcimer because it's played on the lap. It's an instrument that was brought over by the settlers in Tennessee, Kentucky. This is kind of a more modern version. The earlier ones were basically a rectangular box that was plucked with a quill feather or goose feather and a noter, which is a little, they just slid a little piece of wood down it, but now we played it a little more modern, in a more modern fashion. So I'm gonna do Morning Has Broken. A lot of people wonder what this thing is, so. Get me hooked up. Second here. Tie it on so it doesn't fly across the room here. Sound check. Hear it okay? Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the womb. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's soft play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you, Gail. That was very nice. And we are going to have one more reading before we move into our message, and it's titled Sometimes by Mary Oliver. Something came up out of the dark. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. It wasn't an animal or a flower, unless it was both. Something came up out of the water, a head the size of a cat, but muddy and without ears. I don't know what God is. I don't know what death is. But I believe they have between them some fervent and necessary arrangement. Sometime melancholy leaves me breathless. Water from the heavens, electricity from the source, both of them mad to create something. The lighting brighter than any flower, the thunder without a drowsy bone in its body. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. 2 or 3 times in my life I discovered love. Each time it seemed to solve everything. Each time it solved a great many things, but not everything. Yet left me as grateful as if it had indeed and thoroughly solved everything. God, rest in my heart and fortify me. Take away my hunger for answers. Let the hours play upon my body, like the hands of my beloved. Let the cat head appear again, the smallest of your mysteries. Some wild cousin of my own blood, probably. Some cousin of my own wild blood, probably. In the black dinner bowl of the pond. Death waits for me, I know it, around one corner or another. This doesn't amuse me, neither does it frighten me. After the rain, I went back into the field of sunflowers. It was cool, and I was anything but drowsy. I walked slowly and listened to the crazy roots in the drenched earth, laughing and growing. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all that other stuff.
Okay. As you know, we get the Soul Matters packet every year, and it comes with some already written sermons, usually by UU ministers, and today is no exception. Instructions for Living a Life, Pay Attention, by Reverend Sandra Fees. Mary Oliver offers 3 instructions for living a life. She says, pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. Most people I talk with want to be more attentive, mindful, and aware. So far, no one has told me that they want to be less aware. Poets, philosophers, mystics, and artists devote themselves to awareness and to mentoring others on that path. Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh teaches us to be in the present moment, and Eckhart Tolle advises us to harness the power of now. Poet Robert Creeley says, nothing's wiser than the moment. Mary Oliver says simply, pay attention. Among spiritual teachers, it is universally accepted that paying attention contributes to living the good life and to a peaceful existence. But it isn't just those with an explicitly mystical sensibility who want to pay attention. Those who are scientists rely on close examination and attention to patterns and details. Carpenters, plumbers, and gardeners, anyone who wants to master a craft or skill, needs to sharpen the attention to observe closely. I consider paying attention essential, but I also routinely have to be reminded. Sometimes that reminder comes in a less than desirable form, such as almost getting into a fender bender, or burning the toast, or forgetting where I left the car keys. Sometimes something of a much greater significance happens, such as learning that a friend has been struggling for weeks or even months with an illness, and I didn't know about it. The truth is, paying attention isn't nearly as easy as it sounds. There are plenty of things that get in the way. Modern life encourages us to cram as much activity as possible into every hour, every moment of every day. Everywhere we turn, there's more stimulation, more information, sound, and motion. It's all around us, 24/7. We now have the term distracted driver for all the variety of ways that those behind the wheel are preoccupied with something other than driving, such as eating, putting on makeup, or talking on the phone. It's such a dangerous problem that we've had to create laws about texting and cell phone use. We also have more ways than ever to spend our time with all kinds of electronic gadgets and other forms of entertainment and activity. For those at this point who are thinking to themselves, and I'm sure there are a few of you, that technology is the main culprit, I would certainly agree that it can contribute to the problem. However, let's not forget that people like the Buddha were experiencing and teaching about the challenges of paying attention long before there was ever Facebook or TV or iPhones or electricity. It seems to be a human problem, which is also exacerbated by the pace and style of our contemporary culture. The basic reason it's so hard for us to pay attention is that our minds are naturally busy. Our minds are chattering, thinking, planning, and jumping from one thing to another. This is how the human mind works. We call this monkey mind. The term was sometimes used by the Buddha to describe the agitated, easily distracted, and incessant movement of our ordinary consciousness. He said, just as a monkey swinging through the trees grabs one branch and lets it go to seize another, so too that which is called thought, mind, or consciousness arises and disappears continually, both day and night. Paying attention is about becoming attuned to our own inner lives and plummeting the depth dimension of life. It's about learning to pay attention to the rhythm of what we are feeling and to the common truth embedded in all life. The practice of paying attention isn't about obsessively noticing everything everywhere all the time. Not only is that impossible, it's undesirable. So how do we hone such awareness? How do we tame the monkey mind? My glasses get in the way. Got bifocals. How do we attune ourselves to this rhythm? We practice. We notice, we observe, We find time to be quiet, to simply be, to have our own experience of a thing and not just read about it. We train our minds. It's a bit like that old saying, just do it. We pay attention. As is often the case, achieving the spiritual life is paradoxical. The way we learn to pay attention is by paying attention. Watching athletes can be instructive. I'm sure many of you watch the Olympics. I find myself fascinated with the capability and sheer determination of the young athletes. It is inspiring to watch individuals who have devoted their time and energy to training for gold. A certain intensity and focus is evident in their faces and bodies as they poise to dive or skate or participate in their particular sport. When the athletes remain focused, their routines seem almost effortless. When they lose their focus, their routines seem hard and strained. Physical prowess is fundamental for the Olympic athlete, for any athlete, but the mind and spirit too have a role to play. The training of the athlete trains not only the body, but also the whole person. It requires incredible presence, attention, the ability to harness the power of now, and that takes practice. We can benefit from imagining our spiritual lives in a similar way. We too are in training. The more we practice, the more we can learn to pay attention, the more we can dive into the depth dimensions of our feelings and the rhythms of life. Looking to our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we can find examples of how to pay attention. Transcendentalist and Unitarian writer Henry David Thoreau set off for the woods of Concord, Massachusetts, to immerse himself in simplicity and nature. In his book Walden, also called Life in the Woods, he chronicles his time living alone in the woods. How many have read it? This was required reading when I was in high school. Not me, the writer. Thoreau's nearest neighbor lived a mile away. Thoreau built his own home there and earned his living by what he called the labor of his own hands only. He dwelled at Walden Pond for 2 years and 2 months. Thoreau's account of his time in the woods is chock full of insights and observations. These insights seem to come more freely when distractions are stripped away, when we devote ourselves to intentional living. Thoreau came to recognize that everything important happens in the moment and that eternity is encapsulated in the present. He wrote, "In eternity there is indeed something true and sublime, but all these times and places and occasions are here, now and here. God culminates in the present moment." We may not be able to do exactly what Thoreau did. It may not be practical or even preferable to set off for the woods for 26 months. We also don't have, this is my own words, we don't all have mothers who live a mile away who can cook and clean for us. In fact, this hasn't stopped our yearning for ways to have a deeper experience. In fact, many UUs I talk to have a longing to deepen their spiritual experience. This might mean spending more time in nature, practicing voluntary simplicity, or going on a retreat once a year. Or it might mean following the advice of contemporary Unitarian Universalist minister James Ishmael Ford. In the July issue of Shambhala Sun magazine, he suggests what sounds a bit UU to me. He says, "Sit down, shut up, pay attention." We can do this wherever we are, in whatever situation we find ourselves. He adds that by sitting down, shutting up, and paying attention, you never know when it will reveal what is true and what is fake. James Ishmael Ford offers this story to illustrate. An American made his fortune doing business in East Asia. He was financially comfortable, so he decided to retire and save her life. He became interested in jade and set about to learn all he could. He hired an authority to help him. Once a week, he went to her home for instruction. On the first day, he arrived, was greeted, and served tea. The tutor handed him a large piece of jade and disappeared for an hour. When she returned, she took the jade, thanked him, and sent him on his way. The next week, he returned for his second tutorial. The same thing happened again. Being a patient man after all his years in business, he continued to defer. But he was mildly skeptical and growing ever more skeptical. He returned several more times. Each time, he was greeted, served tea, and handed a piece of jade and left alone. After several weeks, his frustration building, he could no longer contain himself and remain silent. When the tutor returned after leaving him again for an hour, he finally spoke up. "I have no idea what you think you're doing, but I'm no fool. You've just been wasting my time and my money, and now to add insult to injury, this time you put a piece of fake jade into my hand." It was a fake. He was right. He had actually paid attention. We learn to see what's true by paying attention. We learn to pay attention by paying attention. Paying attention draws us closer, nearer to our own breath, to our own truth, and our own lives. It makes us more human, more alive, more vulnerable, more mindful. And in doing so, we are brought into deeper kinship with the whole of life. We discover what Mark Nepo calls the common way that all things are embedded in everything. One of my favorite ways of paying attention is to sit on my back porch. There's something about sitting around on my porch that seems very old-fashioned. It's a practice that began for me when I was a young child. My family spent many an evening after working and playing hard all day, sitting on the back porch, laughing and eating watermelon or shucking corn. Sometimes we sat in silence and simply enjoyed the day or evening, watching the corn grow or the sun set. I continue this practice of porch sitting. Sometimes I spot hummingbirds and butterflies fluttering around the yard. Once in a while, a groundhog tromps through my yard, taking a bite of the most beautiful flower. When the rain comes, I listen to the way it sounds against the tree leaves. When my neighbor mows her lawn, I listen and notice especially the deep silence when the motor stops. I observe patterns of sun and shade. At this time of year, this was written in the fall, you'll notice, each day is a vibrant display as leaves not only change color, but also begin to fall from the trees. All this reminds me of the way my own life stirs in rhythms of movement and stillness, of light and dark, of noisiness and quiet, of loneliness and connection, birth and death. I do what James Ishmael Ford suggests. I sit down, get quiet, and just pay attention. Such awareness is part of what makes life worth living. It lets us savor the world, both the mundane and the transcendent, the ordinary and the most beautiful. Ultimately, they are one and the same. Consider doing what poet and doctor William Carlos Williams did. He carried a notepad around with him. In it, he listed what he called things I noticed today that I've missed until today. What would be on your list? What did you notice today that you've missed until today? I noticed the blooming azaleas today. I invite and encourage you to learn to notice what's been missed until today. May we each learn to live deliberately and attune ourselves to moments of wonder, mystery, and beauty. May we live deep. May we discover the common bond in all things. May we pay attention to the rhythms of breath, of life, of the holy in us and among us. Amen. Blessed be.
Please repeat after me. It is a blessing to be.
It is a blessing to be.
It is a blessing to be here.
It is a blessing to be here.
It is a blessing to be here now.
It is a blessing to
It is a blessing to be here now together.
It is a blessing to be here now together.
And now we will have our closing song, hymn 1074, Turn the World Around. Thank you, Isaiah and choir. Isabella, would you mind extinguishing our chalice? Please join me as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.